Good Yor to one and all. Very exciting to once again begin a new machzor, a new reading of the Parshas, beginning with Parshas Bereishis. I apologize in advance for my voice. We Baruch Hashem had a beautiful, beautiful Yontav, and my voice is still participating in Hakafos and has not yet returned, but hopefully soon enough it will be back. I want to share with you a brief thought. Excuse me again. A brief thought at the beginning of the Parsha, perhaps one of the most famous Rashis in the Torah. Bereishis bara Elokim es Hashemayim starts at the beginning. Hashem created heaven and earth. And Rashi, quoting from Yitzchak, says, Lo yatzar lahaschas haTorah le'me'achodesh ez Elochem. Why not start with the first mitzvah? HaChodesh ez Elochem, that this is the month that is given to you as Rosh Chodesh. Why instead are we told that Hashem created the world? Matam pasach Bereishis. Why does it begin Bereishis? Answers Rashi, Mishum koach ma'asav v'gid lamo. Wants to teach us a lesson, L'seislam nachal goyim. That what? Shem Yomeru Mos Olam Yisrael, that if the non-Jews should say to the Jewish people, Listim atem, you are thieves, shekavashtem artzo shevet goyim. You took the land of Israel from the other nations of the world, from the 7 nations who were residing there. You conquered it, and you took it for yourselves. You're thieves. We can respond. Kol art shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The entire land belongs to Hashem. He created it, and He decided to give it to us. And the question is, what difference is it going to make to people who don't believe in God if we say that God created the world? We're trying to convince the non-Jews, we're trying to convince the nations of the world that we didn't steal it. But if they don't fundamentally believe in the same God, then what does it help to say, Bereishis bara Elokim es Hashemayim starts? That's also a falsehood in their eyes. So there's a beautiful thought that I saw from the Maggid of Yerushalayim, from Roshel Shadron. And he suggests that Koach Masav V'gid La'amo, when we quote that line of that the strength of his actions he's given to his nation, it doesn't say gave over to anybody else. He's giving it over to the Jews. That the Jews are the ones who need to go, not to the Amim, but to Amo. The answer is being given to the Jewish people, not to the Goyim. You should know. You should know that the land really belongs to you. Don't be convinced by others. But how does that solve the problem? How does that help? If the Goyim are saying, Listim atem, why are we waiting? Why does it mean, how is this the response to Listim atem if the response is being said to the Jews and not to the nations of the world? So I saw this comment in looking at something in Rav Druk's Sefer. I'm not sure if this is exactly what he had in mind, but I think there's an important yesod here. And perhaps the idea is that if you want to convince somebody else of something, you have to be convinced first. If we are not confident that the land belongs to us, if we are not confident in our emunah on HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the land specifically to the Jewish people, we're never going to be able to convince anybody else. How can we expect others to believe it if we don't believe it? And therefore, Koach Masav V'gid Lamo, first, we have to believe it. We have to internalize that this is a special land that God has given to us. Afterwards, then we can try and convince other people. And it's not true just when it comes to this, but really with anything in life. If we want to convince people of something, we have to make sure that we convince ourselves first. We can't try to convince other people of anything if we don't first make sure that we are solid in our beliefs. And that perhaps is the deeper lesson of this first Rashi in the Torah. It's not just a lesson about the future, it's not just a lesson about the land of Israel, but really one that if we want to inspire and we want to help other people, we need to make sure to work on ourselves. And once we work on ourselves and we internalize those messages, then we can go out, be an Or LaGoyim, be a light unto the nations, be a light unto others, and convince others and bring others closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu.